There are 17 sidearms in Helldivers 2, and they're often seen as the break glass in case of emergency for a squirt gun, and you're hoping it can handle the few varmints in front of you. And that's the case for a couple of them. Others are powerhouses, or they offer insane utility, sometimes both. We'll cover all that in today's secondary weapon tier list, beginning with our baseline, Peacemaker, of the P2 variety. The reason they call it Peacemaker, if it comes out, you make peace with your god, because you're likely not coming back. Sieve standard issue, for a reason. It's a stapler gun with a fast fire rate. It don't kill things that quickly, and you want to upgrade as soon as you possibly can. For that reason, F tier. Crisper is the closest thing we have to pocket sand against automatons, and divers are not using it to its full potential. Get next to a tank, pull this out, shoot it for 3 seconds, it's dead. Get beneath a factor strider, which is pretty easy to do. Break the front turrets, easy peasy. Shoot straight up, it dies in seconds as well. In both cases, you're not even using a full fuel tank. No other sidearm's doing that also has the ability to take out chaff that's running you down. You're being ran down by Voteless and random bugs. You keep running the same direction and turn your camera around and shoot the ground. It's one-handed, you can do that. You can be running and shooting behind you. Fire damage is very powerful currently. Upon further review, it has to get an A. Plas-15 Loyalist is a mini Purifier, making it the Nepo baby of sidearms, because Purifier is really good. This thing is pretty good. Picking out enemies that are otherwise a hassle to deal with, gunships, even the regular striders that you normally need medium pin to handle if you can't get behind them. This can hit the top of the cabin and they're done. And you shoot into a crowd of smaller enemies, Voteless and whatnot, you're getting multiple kills in a single shot. Leaning heavily towards B. Las-58 Talon, a pistol so good it makes you want to question your primary weapons until you realize the administrative defense makes people that do that not be able to question things anymore. Medium pin, 200 damage, and it's heat based. If you don't overheat it, it's essentially infinite ammunition. And for a horde clear on every faction, it's fantastic. Voteless Jondal shots, a super earth pastime, give it a gander. It's decent against every other Luminate except for Leviathans and Meatbobs for a good reason. Bugs, Hunter Seeds are a blast, because they all get mopped up for the most part. When you see the occasional Alpha Commander, it's good there. Hive Guards, good there as well. If you get other seeds, it's still a thing that does damage. Against automatons, you can one-shot every single medium unit and below, except for the Scout Strider and the Reinforced Scout Strider. Rocket Striders, hit the rocket, they're dead. There is the caveat being, sway is a pretty major factor that affects your aim negatively when using sidearms, especially if you're sprinting for a short duration of time, go to hit a shot, you have to sit there and wait for your reticle to be lined up where you want it to land in the first place. That's rough, but it affects everything, so I can't take away points from this gun right here. I'm giving it S tier. It is genuinely a fantastic weapon, and honestly, it makes me rethink my placement of the Borderline Justice Warbond. P11 Stim Pistol. Imagine you have 24 stims. You go to use one, you get all the effects you normally would. Stam regen, you're wearing medic armor, you get increased duration from that. Booster, experimental infusion, increased defenses, and movement speed. The only caveat is you get less healing, and the healing is also slower. That's a stim pistol, but you can't hit yourself. You can hit your teammates though, and also headless warriors, commanders, and alpha commanders, and keep them alive. There's 3 situations in which stim pistol is very nice. Your teammate has double-edged sickle. They take damage from that if they're going to heavy pin, which is ideal. You can offset that. Be their huckleberry and their stim jockey, keep them alive. A teammate has no stims left, they're in a safe spot, you're next to them. Easy stim opportunity, they stand still especially. The last one is if your teammates are running out of stamina and you're trying to run somewhere. Stim them, give them back stam, and they can continue running and save time. The picture this gun's painting for me is it's good in hyper-specific situations. That puts it around C tier. Grenade pistol. It shoots grenades. You get 6 carrying capacity, and you can blow up fabricators, destroy dropships with no shields on Illuminate, and close bug nests. Utility is absurdly good. If you see a group of enemies, it can do some decent damage there because of the blast radius. And if you're running into larger medium units, let's say an Alpha Commander, you shoot it with your primary weapon and swap to a grenade pistol to get a faster kill if you need to. I think it's A tier. Stun Lance. It can go through heavy armor on charger legs and kill them insanely fast. Well, it used to. Don't show the devs. If you're not rocking the ballistic shield against factions that are melee, Terminids, and even some boatless dudes, you'll get ran down pretty swiftly with this. So that's another aspect to account for usually. So it's fun, but hyper specific in when you can get the most value from it. I would say it's C tier. War Ant. It shoots guided jet-propelled ammunition that will miss targets that are strafing left or right slightly and never goes for weak spots if you're using the lock-on mode. You can turn that off if you want, but the damage is 80. It does have medium pin, which is rather nice. It's only above Peacemaker because it has medium pin. And you can just simply use a host of better guns. Exhibit A. Verdict. Medium pin, 125 damage, 10 round capacity. You're reaching breakpoints and killing enemies very fast if you land certain shots. It's just simply a better gun. It's a semi-solid B. GP-20 Ultimatum can one-shot Bile Titans, Chargers, Hulks, tanks, Factory Striders, although it's a bit dangerous, so maybe don't do that too often, Stingrays, and every enemy in the game except Leviathans, while also having a decent AoE radius to handle hordes of enemies that are stacked up a little bit, and take out Bile Titan nests. You can still increase the range of Ultimatum by having a different weapon out, holding the fire button after you swap weapons, and equipping Ultimatum in the process, launching it roughly 75 meters up from the usual 50. All this power, and folks still believe it's turbo because you can't destroy stratagem jammers, science buildings, and detector towers in a single hit, or at all, using the weapon. It's a bit perplexing. It's a mini recoilless rifle that you can bring a supply backpack with to give yourself 4 more reloads, and then resupply the resupply backpack using a regular resupply. Ultimatum is still a pretty good gun. Senator is a heavy armor pin revolver with 6 rounds, a speed reloader, and the rounds also reload, so you're never wasting any ammunition. It's really fun for facing Hulks and taking them out from the front to the visor. It's good against the miniguns on Factory Striders, and it can also take out the majority of random devices for automatons. But aside from that, there aren't too many reasons to really take it unless you just want to. But I'll still give it a B. Dagger is a laser pistol that takes time to build up damage, and once you damage enemies long enough based on their size, they get lit on fire. That's good and all, but if you're facing hordes of enemies, this is a long process. You don't have a whole lot of ammunition, and the whole thing takes time. It's not just the waiting for fire dot to kill them, it's taking time to apply the fire dot. And the base damage of the weapon is nothing to really be blown away by, because it's per second. I can fire other guns about 2 or 3 times in a second, getting a lot more value and just overall damage dealt. It's D tier. Bushwhacker, break action, triple barreled sawed off shotgun that does 405 damage, can one tap an Alpha Commander if you're in the alternate firing mode, shooting all 3 shells at the exact same time at their face. They die instantly. You stagger enemies, namely, the main thing there would be stalkers, if there's not too many on you. It's still C tier though. Stun Baton is the scrappy-do version of Stun Lance. You still do everything it does, but you can't aim for weak spots nearly as well, and you have way less range. So if you're knocking enemies away from you, you're just swinging at air half the time. F tier for that reason. Hatchet. Very similar to the Stun Lance, but you don't stun enemies and you do still stagger, just nowhere near as bad. So smaller enemies, they get staggered out of attacking you, but Overseers will beat the brakes off you. Give it a D. Saber is comparable to Hatchet, but you get more range and it looks way cooler. If you end up in a 1v1 against the Wukong Overseer, Baton dude, you can block his attacks with Ballistic Shield and then swing afterwards. So that's awesome. I'd wager a fair placement is C. Redeemer is a starting sidearm just like Peacemaker, except I believe it's simply better. You get a little bit less damage, to the tune of 60, but 31 round capacity. It's still light pin, you're not escaping that. And it's also fully automatic, so if you had to, you could spray down a commander and be chillin', although the auto part isn't a huge selling point. I'll give it D tier to put it slightly above Peacemaker. The sidearm tier list is over, but the ride is about to begin. You can use whatever weapon you want. I'm not saying you have to pick the ones that are high rated, otherwise you're throwing in the game. Nothing of the sort. Play what you find enjoyable. That being said though, some of these weapons are genuinely not as good as others. It's just the way the game is currently designed. Ballistic weapons don't have a whole lot of special stuff going on, so if you look at the Peacemaker compared to the Redeemer, you get less damage on Redeemer, but every other stat is pretty much a lot better. That is a direct upgrade. And to be a bit more egregious, we have the Warrant that has auto-aim capabilities compared to the Verdict. Mind you, the Warrant can miss shots on slight strafing enemies. You can swap to the unguided mode, but if you do that, the Verdict then becomes 1,000 times better. And honestly, even when it's not guided, it's still a better weapon. And you compare the Verdict to the Talon. You're seeing a bunch of green, huh? and the ammunition capacity of the Talon is essentially limitless if you don't fire it too fast. I'm gonna say it again, use whatever you enjoy. I make these sort of videos because it gives a glimpse into how stuff performs during certain time periods. Look back at my old Bile Titan testing video. The way that we destroy that enemy now is vastly different than how it used to be. This is kind of the same thing. Plus, why wouldn't you want weapons that are pretty lackluster to see some improvements? At least an example, melee weapons. Why can't they be heavy pin? We already had it. It wasn't a big deal. It was just a nice thing that you could do. It's the same thing for Senator. When that thing got heavy pin, folks freaked out. Meanwhile, it didn't really make people go, wow, the game is just so broken. Everyone runs Senator. It makes the missions just 10 times easier. It's just a cool thing that Senator can do, having heavy pin. And for melee, it would be even more niche as it was. So that's an example of what they could do. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good day.